before they shut down in 2023. Thank you, Tony, for your super chat or your Nitro boost. What are we at now? 18? Yeah, nice. Wow. Um, I think once we can resolve that, what we'll do is integrate both, right? So if you're on Altspace, you'll be able to join people who are in spaces on Banter, but you'll still be on Altspace, and vice versa. If you're on Banter, you'll be able to join people who are on Altspace. And to your question, Karen, why have the two platforms? Well, once we unify them, we will be working from the same code base. We have been working behind the scenes to create white label solutions, right? So that it can all be the same system, but we can easily deploy it with different branding, different menus, different defaults, different options, right? And I'm excited about being able to do that because honestly, it'll give us a chance to be able to position the platform in different ways to different subgroups of people. Um, so you're gonna have Banter, which is kind of a bit crazy, a bit out there, a bit edgy, let's say. And then we can have at the same time Altspace, which will be, a lot safer and a lot, you know, uh, yeah, it will be easier for people who want to use it for things like education or anything else to be able to recommend it. Right? That's always been a point of contention with Banter is that we're a bit too edgy for certain groups of people. So also we'll essentially have more real estate on the stores, right? We'll have multiple titles, which means we should get twice the discovery benefit on the stores. And that's across the board. That's across Steam, Meta, SideQuest as well. We may even explore other verticals and other ways to position the stack in the future, right? We're bringing back Altspace, but who knows? They might try and take on the big screen audience as well. Maybe something like the Rec Room audience. Yeah, we'll just replace all these platforms one after another as they become defunct, right? And we'll just create an enormous web of platforms that are all interconnected behind the scenes. And I hate to use the term metaverse, but that's kind of what we're talking about, really, isn't it? To be able to just seamlessly go from one platform to the other. Multiverse. Let's go with that. Yeah. But I think it's definitely an interesting proposition to be able to build out our tech stack to be modular and reconfigurable and white labelable, right? So that we can just reskin it and see if we can position it to another audience, another group. Onboarding, easily the most important and the hardest part about getting users onto a platform. So we can use multiple multiple versions of the same thing to position it differently to different people and be able to give them all that unique onboarding experience with a different set of defaults and a different a different focus. Oh, that's a good question. Stephanie has asked how we're going to make things financially sustainable. That's a fantastic question. So there's a few different things. First of all, a number of people have already suggested that they'd love to pay for the platform, or that even some people wanted to invest. But a bunch of people recommend that, or that we introduce, Update Plus, for instance, where you get a host of cosmetic benefits and extras, bells and whistles, stuff like that. All those are fantastic ideas for sure. I think really I think the timing really is the important part there. As we start out and we're small, we have to figure out how to prioritize, where we should put our energy and our time, and make sure that we build the right things in the right order so that the community kind of, the community sees us as being responsive to their needs. It's worth noting, if we have a few hundred regular members on the platform in the earliest days, uh, spending all of our time building out an expensive, payment infrastructure is going to take away from us being able to focus on some other stuff. And typically how it works with these sort of platforms is that the priority up front is user growth. And then once you kind of reach that critical mass of users, and I think Barry asked me at one point, what constitutes critical mass? Well, that's at the point that it would make sense to focus on monetization, right? And that can mean a few different things. That could be a creator economy where people can share and benefit each other. That could be a premium subscription model, right? Like Discord has with cosmetic benefits, and each of those can potentially have a different critical mass depending on how it can work. But I think for us, it's important to focus on that user growth, and that's what this is going to be out of the gate. And to your question about how we're going to make it sustainable, that's a great question. So behind the scenes, we're actually also working on a number of enterprise solutions. And part of the fact that we're rebuilding Altspace using a modular approach to what we've done with Banter, part of that is also about us breaking those modules up into a little mix and match for us to be able to pull together enterprise simulation software using much, of a lot of the same stuff that we've got. So the hope is that behind the scenes, we can actually repurpose the technology to work with enterprise clients, in, private installations, that kind of stuff. And that will help us bankroll our efforts to be able to continue to build this out in public. So that's how we plan to make this sustainable. It's not to try and monetize on the existing audience. It's to try and repurpose the tech stack behind the scenes for other things. And the fact that we're going to be running multiple platforms, as I said before, and the fact that we're going to be able to white label the whole system, that is part and parcel of that whole piece as well. I think, I know I haven't done an AMA on any of this, and I know some people have asked, and I've already got the feeling that that's what we're turning into. But people are asking about age requirements. 13 plus is going to be the standard age requirement. We may look at specific countries and the age of consent in those countries to comply with the laws. In the future, maybe parental controls might allow us to go a little bit further than that. But right now, we're actually in active discussions in the ideas forum about how age should work. Age checks, age gate, ID verification, that kind of stuff. And actually, I've spent quite a lot of time in the last couple of days trying to build out a privacy-focused solution that can scan your face and do ID and age verification completely offline. So not using the cloud services, so that people don't have to worry about where their data is going, right? It would all stay on your device. And I think the prevailing opinion there is that the platform itself shouldn't have any age verification because that would introduce too much friction, really, for onboarding, that people would have to do an age check on sign up, right? That would be difficult. We're also talking about whether or not we should have guest accounts, right? Which is kind of part of that sign up conversation too. But I think the direction we're heading with it is that people could set their worlds as adult only, and then if people want to join those worlds that are adult only, that they would have to verify. So verification would be optional, and people could create adult only spaces. And adult only doesn't only mean raunchy spaces. It just means spaces where adults might want to be able to have adult conversations, right? And I think that uh, that's probably the best way to land on that. But the conversation is ongoing, and it may still evolve as well. Daily, to your point, which a lot of people are reacting to there about a customizable base humanoid avatar, I think that's probably a natural progression on where we'll go after this. So,
Mm.
yeah, I'm not sure who originally designed the Rubenoids, as they were called in Allspace, right? Or even who was involved in designing the later avatar system, the one that uh, that had no legs and had the expressive eyes. Um, yeah, I was aware of Christian and his work because it has been shared in the community over the years, and that was a natural place to start. Also, because the robots were the first ones to be taken away, I thought that was a great place to start. We'll bring those back first and give those a modern, fresh look first of all. So, in the meantime, anybody who does want humanoid avatars, um, the custom avatars will be an easy way for you to be able to achieve that. And yeah, as a follow-on to that, I think we'll definitely look at trying to, if it's something the community wants, we'll look at a similar base humanoid avatar and start looking at introducing, if this approach in terms of customization works and works well, then we'll do a similar thing, right? And we'll introduce a humanoid-based model or multiple, gendered humanoid-based models, and let people uh, be able to customize those just in the same way as they plan to do with these robots. Um, so yeah, honestly, you guys are in the driving seat as always. Uh, there's a lot of feedback, and it's on us really now to kind of dig through all of that to be able to find out what is important to people, right? And try and cater to that. I think it's 60 in the audience. That's awesome. Thanks for showing up, everybody. I think that's a great turnout for the event, given it at such short notice. Honestly, I think it's a great turnout. I really didn't expect uh, this many people to flood into this project as quickly and easily as they did, and it really really serves to fuel the fire when it comes to trying to build this out. And it's so great to see so many people connecting with people that maybe they haven't talked to in a while or haven't seen. It's definitely been that way for me. I've seen all the OGs, everybody's kind of been brought back together and has a um, fresh motivation to try and make this thing. And honestly, love that. Uh, so yeah, let's do it. Right, that's the that's the motivation really behind it all, and that's what's made Allspace great over the years. Is that we all kind of have this shared motivation to make it great. Yeah, let me see. I don't know. I've been waffling about a lot of things, most unrelated to the avatar design. But why don't we see if anybody has any if anybody has any thoughts on some of the stuff that Christian is sketching. If you want to make some suggestions, Christian is open to trying to sketch out some ideas in real time.
Yeah, that was just some sketching things that can get thrown in there. So I thought the horns and
Nice.
strings, I figured when you were doing a little AMA at the beginning, it's a good opportunity for me to just kind of go with a blue pencil and warm up and roll thing over there. Make sure that's some more things.
Yeah, I think class has mentioned there about the final off-space avatar with more facial expressions. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we can try to do here is try and incorporate the best of everything into all that we're doing, right? So why don't we try and make the facial expressions enhanced on everything, right? I think uh, let's see if we can maybe try and improve the facial expressions on these robots as a base place, right? And then we can also look at implementing that in humanoid form as well. And yeah, to your point about uh, creating both avatar types, we absolutely can. Yes, we definitely can. I think right now we're just trying to focus our efforts on one thing at a time, right? So we can give everything a proper the proper amount of attention and ensure that we try and address it as best we can. So I have to apologize. I realize I'm a little bit zonked here. I was up until about 6 a.m. last night fighting with this age verification app. So there's a lot of dead air, a lot of ums and ahs. I have to apologize for that. Usually I'm a little bit more articulate than that. But yeah.
You're doing good. But I was wondering why you messaged me so late.
Yes, right. Yeah. Like really, that was only 12 hours ago, I guess, right?
Yep. Like, I see a different time zone.
I like that, the Mario. Let's be a toothbrush. Yeah, custom avatars will be available on all. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. You know, I guess this is the discussion we were having, right? Was about custom avatars and the pros and cons. And the pros are obviously full full expression of yourself in digital form, which is a huge pro, and I think it's a really important one. Um, just to explore the cons, right? As I said, to capture what made Allspace great was to have a system that gives you enough customization, but um, not a complete focus on avatars, so that community can still be the primary driver. And I think that maybe there's some ways to do that. I thought that possibly what we could do is have, uh, a reputation system where custom avatars become something that you earn after a certain period of time or activity within the platform. That could also be something that you could unlock more customizations for the base avatars over time, right? So we kind of have this natural progression for the users and gamification as well, which can really help to drive engagement and give people, something to work towards on the platform. That you can earn stuff, you get rewarded for devoting your time, right? So maybe you start out with some base packs of enhancements, and then it's very easy to see new people who are on the more default setup, and then yeah, as people grow, they get access to more stuff. We could even do limited release things centered around certain events, so you can earn new packs of customizations for your avatars that are exclusive and are only awarded to people for a short period of time. And then eventually custom avatars as well, right? And what I think there is quite useful is the moderation aspect of that. Uh, it's been a problem across every platform that people can create large and expensive avatars that can be quite costly to the experience in worlds, or they can use them to crash worlds. That could be a difficult thing to try and tackle, especially when you want to give people full customization. So if we limit access to that for new users, that might be able to help us at least deal with part of that problem. Of course, all of this is just ideas. None of it is set in stone. I think I want to really put across here that yeah, it's not just me or one person for that matter in the driving seat here in terms of making decisions. It's everyone. It's all of us. It's everybody here on the voice chat. It's the entire Discord server, 500 strong. it's my closest confidant. It's my elite team of veterans and ex-staff behind the scenes. Um, it's all of us at different stages, basically, creating that pipeline of ideas and feedback that we all feed into, and then things will work their way through that pipeline and we'll implement them, right? I think that's the best way to try and do this, because yeah, we've been doing this here at SideQuest now for a number of years. We're coming up on 3 years building social VR platforms and technologies. And I would say the one thing that I have learned in the last 3 years is how hard this is, right? I remember back in the day, you know, I don't know if any of you remember Jimmy, right? But I would have probably been one of the people to make fun of the fact that he would talk about how hard this is as a thing to do. But he was right. He was 100% right. It is difficult to try and keep everything running, to try and juggle all of the different nuances of different platforms and versions and and issues and all of that together with trying to make sure that you're meeting the requirements of everybody. And sometimes it's so easy for stuff to slip through the cracks. And before you realize it, before you realize it, people are going to, people are going to get upset and feel like they're not being heard. And I think that that's an important thing, is that we make sure that everybody feels heard and that we're addressing the feedback as much as we can. And I remember what it was like to not feel heard, and I want to try to make sure that you guys don't feel that way. So yeah, the hope here is that we can do our best to try and meet the requirements and the expectations and the trust, I guess, right? Because that's definitely one thing that has floored me in the last few days, is just how much people are kind of trusting in us to deliver on what this is supposed to be and what everybody's kind of expecting from this, right? So yeah, for me, I feel like this is a clean slate, right? I feel like this is kind of a reset in a lot of ways, and I'm definitely taking an open approach to this. I'm forgetting everything that we've done before, and we're really gonna start from scratch here and give everybody the best possible chance. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I've ignored the chat for a minute. Let me have a quick look here and see if there's some stuff I need to address. Kit building and craft building. That is definitely something that we want to try and tackle. Maybe it's something I can go into more detail on in future at a different, maybe similar event to this. We can make this a regular thing if people are up for that. This could be a great way for us to just have that regular check-in with the community and be able to, um, yeah, be able to give everybody a chance to connect in. Maybe we can also stream this right into the platform as well once we're up and running, so people can hang out together in a virtual setting and feel that presence of being together while we do this too.
Yeah, if we ever move into doing the humanoid ones, that might not be a bad way to get people, make sure that everybody has the features and stuff like that they want. Hard for me to remember everything, you know what I mean? All the hairstyles, all the things like that. Can you be like, can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's another reason we started with the robots first, I think, right? I think the humanoids are harder. I think it's harder to make humanoids that that steer clear of that uncanny valley, and that everybody's kind of happy with in terms of how they look. They don't have cold, dead eyes.
I think it requires a design system at some point so that they really do it. You know, I mean, I think like Star, a lot of these other companies, they can find that way of doing it. I think that like where the uncanny valley exists is when it's just 10% wrong or 5% wrong. If you try to make something feel too real, it's like the blink or the little little things like that are off-putting. But if you lean into something where it's stylized in some way, I think like that's how you prevent the uncanny valley, because then the person isn't trying to read it as real, it's more exaggerated features and stuff like that. I think that's what Wayne thinking of the previous designs where we had talked about those way back in the day.
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. And I think the most successful examples have done that, right? I think the original Rubenoids made a good effort at it. I think the later generation of alt space avatars also did it quite well. I think Ready Player Me did it really well, right? It's just they kind of lean into that stylized approach and not try to go for something that's perfectly photorealistic.
It was actually the very first. It was the very first like discussion I ever had. Yeah, feedback form. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I remember like the very first discussion I think I ever had around alt space stuff was the Uncanny Valley, because uh, one of the founders and I were together having some. Gavin and Gavin were having some beer, and we were just talking about it and catching up. We played in the D&D group together in college, and we wound up going over to the office and just like working on the whiteboard and stuff like that. We were trying to sketch these things out. But even then, this was over 10 years ago. Even then, that was like a huge conversation point trying to solve for that particular thing. And that was like one of the topics that came out of it at the time. So, yeah. I mean, I think we can solve for it. Like you said, I think it's just about like not trying to make it feel hyper real. I think that's what throws people off about a lot of sense AI generated stuff. It's like just something about it doesn't feel quite right. But
yeah, it's that 96th percentile, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's waxed it out.
The robots are easy, right? Because
a little bit more different from, they're all really kind of toony in that sense, or easy to do like that.
so that's another reason why it's easier to start with the robots. Thank you, everybody, for all the extra boosts. Really appreciate that. Up to 18 now. See if it'll let me set the vanity URL. It's still not working. Good. Good. Come back to that. That's strange. For some reason it doesn't like my C factor. Oh, Space Central. Interesting. I would usually go for something shorter with a vanity URL, right? So that it's easy to remember. The website is altvr.app. So I figure no OCR makes sense, because then it's all one and the same. When will it launch? The fall. It's my best estimate right now. Somebody asked me today, it was Warloga, if I pronounced that correctly, if we'll be ready for Halloween.
I get ready for Halloween. I gotta do a jack-o'-lantern one or another. Creepy one. Creepy.
Yeah.
I think creepy things is like actually my jam. But I like doing the most. Oh.
Nasty. Pete. Halloween. Pumpkin. Nice. Yeah, I think maybe we could be early access by then, right? Don't quote me on that, but let's see if we can aim for that. And yeah, with the way that the early access channel is expanding, and honestly, we're probably going to be pretty open about who can get in and get access to early access. Um, so it'll be a soft launch, really, more than anything else. So people will be able to, uh, yeah, you'll be able to pretty much come on and enjoy the platform. The whole point of early access is just to try and get people heads up, creators, event runners, world builders, to give you a shot at trying to get some stuff in there and get stuff ready. And then we'll just do a much larger launch, right? Which, in all fairness, can just be a party in essence, right? We can just have a larger event where we all come together and burn the servers down. That'll be the aim of the game. You know, something I think is interesting, and I'll just dump it into the chat if it doesn't end up lost. Do you remember this avatar, Christian?
Yeah.
Called the B-Bot.
Yeah, what a Levi. Yeah, it's the old guy. Sorry, I need some things about mashing keys and those, and they're trying to do that. I'll get back on task in like 5 minutes. Otherwise, I'm not going to really get it out of my head.
Do it. Do it. The way forward. Something that we'll probably get to in a little bit here, with Christian, I'm sure we'll be excited to show you as well, is that we're creating something we're calling mascots. And I guess you can probably think of them like pets, like smaller little fluffy style versions of the avatars. Oh, there's Andy.
Yeah.
So
Maybe you can hit mine is flying up the screen and stop it.
maybe the V-Bot would be a great little a little version for those. In fact, what we were thinking, right, because we're doing a fresh new perspective on the robot avatars with this complete build out, but we actually want to try and do a bit of an homage to the original robots, right? To try and make things that look kind of like plushy versions of the original, starting with the robots. So there's quite a few different variations in the original robots that were there. So it was obviously the popular ones that we're all aware of, the Get Bot, and yeah, the ones like Lisa's avatar in her profile picture, which I can't exactly remember the name of those, maybe somebody knows in the chat. But then there was a bunch of other ones, right? There was the Ninja Guy, there was the Q-Tip. I don't know. These are uh, yeah, these are the names we had for them in the community. But in a nutshell, maybe we'll see if we can try and make plushie versions of some of those. Those become mascots, and mascots could potentially do lots of different things on the platform. They could be pets, they could be guides, they could be, who knows, mini-me's, right? You know, people could have mascots. They could be Tamagotchis, if anybody remembers what those are. I'm probably showing my age a little bit. But yeah, there could be a layer of gamification, right? Where it's another reason to start getting on there and look after your pet, and your pet might evolve, right? It's going to get hopefully not too close, yeah, to Pokemon or Power World here, but the idea is that maybe they could level up possibly, right, as well, and get little subtle cosmetic enhancements to them too. So I think that's cool. People could come together about that. They could showcase and share their mascots, right? That's a nice adjacent redirect away from showcasing your own avatar and something that's playful and potentially functional. Yeah, then one day we just make them fight.
All this really is hanging down here. It's all pretty digital robot fighting. It always has been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. They can be a little mini camera operator, a little drone that flies around. Oh, Mars has already got it. Yeah, and that was something that we thought, right? So you could have a custom color palette for your own avatar, and maybe that also applies to your mascot, right? So that there's some link there between you and your mascot, that as you move around a space, people can easily tell whose pet is whose. And yeah, I don't know. There's lots of things we could do with them and experiment. I really don't know what. This is just a brain dump of some of the internal chats and discussions we've had about them, but none of it is set in stone. Who knows how it might end up? But yeah, we can come back to the mascots and show you some of the early concepts that we've had already.
Yeah.
Crazy eyes. That's
Mm-hmm.
that was evil. Yes, Charles, that is certainly something that we could do. Um, and cause, yes, that's also something that we've been thinking about quite a lot. I think it's worth discussing, right? That we're trying to take a traditional approach to how we create what we're creating here. And that's part of the reason why I've engaged with Christian as well, right? Is because I want to I want to put the time and the effort into this in order to create value and attachment to some of this stuff that we're creating. And that's why we're kind of starting from scratch and starting on a drawing board uh, and and working these up from the base concepts is because we want to uh, yeah, we want to be able to associate that kind of value with these, and for everybody to have that same appreciation and attachment to them. Obviously, we could very easily take a broad range of generative AI tools and come up with, an infinite number of avatars in a weekend. And that's what we've done in the past, right? We've been sort of heavily engaged with AI on banter and in other areas as well. But I do think that for Altspace, we're probably going to try and get back to the roots and stick to that, right? And that's part of what all of this process is about. Um, now, yeah, I think AI has its place, but we need to just make sure that it's not the primary focus uh, of what we're doing here, right? So that we can all appreciate the value that is associated with the time and the effort and the human connection built into this. So for sure, we could introduce AI NPCs later, but let's focus on the important part first, because that part is reasonably trivial, and we can certainly experiment with it and see how people respond and engage in general. And I do think it's an exciting frontier for sure. But for now, it's going to be about engaging with creators and artists and supporting them in helping kind of lift us all up, right? And working with Christian and working with Designer Girl, which I think I saw, yeah, she is, uh, and working with the community in general, right? To try and prioritize the content and the worlds and the avatars and the assets that you guys think are important. I think that's That's a great place to start. And it's not just a question of starting there. We're also going to be able to uh, share our workings as we go along, right? So Christian has been recording a lot of his work as he's been working on these concepts. We're going to use that to create marketing materials as well as share with the community in general, progress updates. We'll do nice, big, fancy, polished um, videos that show everything. Yeah, sure, Charles. Let's do video files you can play on textures. That's not going to get used for anything nasty at all. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I think let's try and I think focus on a simple plan first, and then really nail it, really polish that up, and then we can worry about trying to expand it to other directions later, right? I feel like in the past we've tried to go in every direction at once, uh, and that means that all of those directions individually suffer, right? You don't want to be a master of none and a jack of all trades. So let's just focus on the important stuff first and try and get that to be really, really good, and then from there uh, we can expand into the next natural area, right? And that's why we're starting as well with the robots and not trying to do an enormous, massive, uh, you know, collection of various different avatars and base models. But that's part of the motivation as well for us to keep this to a single, simple base model structure as well. We could have gone with multiple, and that's gonna that's gonna become a multiplier for the attachment style customization that we have to do. Right, we would have to cater to every different type and shape of avatar, um, and make sure all the attachments look good and fit well, with different apparels and all that other stuff, different head shapes, where are all the ears going to end up, that kind of thing. And yeah, you can absolutely do that, and we probably eventually will, but I think it's about doing it in the right order and making sure to give each part of the process enough time and energy and focus and polish so that it can all be really, really good on the other end of it, right? And all of the outputs are really high quality. So, yeah. ISS, how do we come up with this direction to get all this back up? I will tell you very honestly. There's a guy called Danny McLellan or something like that. And last year, in around March, he announced on social media that he was the CEO of Allspace and that he was rebirthing the platform. Danny actually he hooked into something uh, fair play to him. He was able to identify that Microsoft had allowed or willfully cancelled the Allspace trademark right after they had sunset the platform. Around a year later, they cancelled their trademark in the US, and he got on it. In all fairness to him, um, I was kind of monitoring that situation, as many of the people in this server, I'm sure, also were, and there were some early signs there that suggested there was a possibility that his motivations may not have been as genuine. And yeah, I think I think it was kind of a combination of how ambitious his plans were, with very little experience, and also there was a very early focus on crypto integration. And yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think everything in its own place. I think the technology behind uh, crypto and Bitcoin and all this stuff, and um, yeah, I think it's amazing and it works really well. But it's also got a high potential for scams, right? And we've seen that at every level, right? Whether it's Trump coin or Hop Tua coin or whatever it is, right? The idea of a pump and dump where a lot of people can lose a lot of money and in a lot of cases they're life-saving. Um, those are real issues, and it kind of resonated with me because like many of you, I've got a pretty strong attachment to this brand. I spent many years uh, feeling the presence of being there while all of this was going on. So I jumped into action to see if there was something I could do to try to take over what he was doing, right? In all honesty, so that maybe I could try and better represent you guys and all of us, our collective motivation for what this could be. Uh, then, yeah, basically, about 2 or 3 weeks after he put in his trademark application, which was in March of last year, I put in mine in April of last year. And ever since then, there's kind of been, there's been a little bit of back and forth there in terms of his own progress on his trademark and my progress on mine, which, unless you know how this kind of stuff works, it's first come, first serve. His was kind of in line before me, and it was only actually about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks ago, that the final deadline lapsed for his trademark application. It actually expired and went into an abandoned state about 2.5 months ago, and he had a 2 month period with which he could revive it, which lapsed 17 days ago or something like that. So that's the timing, right? That's why we're announcing this now. That's why we're really shifting into gear and moving forward with this, is because with his trademarks out of the way, mine is next in line. And that's a long process to be able to secure that. They have pretty long review periods, several months in between stages. So that is moving forward. We have a very, very strong position right now, and yeah, we're basically first in line to inherit the alt space trademark, which honestly is kind of crazy for me in terms of coming full circle on all of this, right? I started, yeah, maybe 10 or 11 years ago in alt space, and just to give you some more backstory of why this is all interesting as to why it's become full circle. So I started about 10 or 11 years ago. I was building tools for world creators using their SDK, as it was called at the time, but it became known as the old SDK because they decided to change everything and go in a different direction. And at the time, my tools were going to become redundant, and I made a decision. Am I going to just let them become redundant, or will I try and do something else? So at the time, I tried to build my own version of AltSpace. It was called The Expanse at the time. Some of you here may remember it. Um, and I migrated all of my tools over so that you could use them for world building, right? Anybody here who's familiar with the kit system or the world builder in general in AltSpace in the later years, all of that was inspired by something I created called Change Editor, which I'm kind of proud of that fact. Right? I definitely proved that it was a worthwhile effort to have tools like that, and that became the basis for AltSpace to build out all of those tools later on. And so it's funny, right? So I spun it out into its own app. That app was submitted to Facebook at the time to get onto the Quest store just months before the first Quest 1 had released. Meta rejected it. So that's setback number 2, right, in recent years. And same thing again. Same scenario. Should I give up and abandon it all, or should I figure out another way? And it turns out that time I was super lucky because I decided to create SideQuest. And yeah, here we are, maybe 7 years later, millions of users, millions of dollars in investment, Google and other industry veterans backing what we're doing. And the whole thing has led to where we are right now, because SideQuest has made it possible for me to make a bid to acquire the Allspace trademark and to be able to bring Allspace back from the dead. So, in a way, I owe everything I've got to Allspace. Had they not have made the decision to change direction all that long time ago, I wouldn't have spun things out. I wouldn't have created SideQuest, and I wouldn't be here today in a position to revive Allspace again. So, yeah, in a way, don't thank me. Thank the original team at Allspace, you know? Yeah. So anyway, I've been waffling there for a while. I'm still ignoring your questions. Let me take a quick scan across the chat and see. Maybe I'll get a comic book made of it at some point. Will we have in-world mods? You mean? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean moderators, or do you mean? Oh, okay, right, yes. So that's an interesting one. That's still something up for debate, actually, right? We need to try and figure that out because I'm not sure what the best approach is, whether we should staff worlds or whether we should try and engage the community and create, an elite group of community members that can help us with that. Or, I mean, some people have even communicated with me behind the scenes about some automated tools, right? Or taking, the approach like some other platforms have and having like a voting system or some sort of crowd-sourced system within the world. Honestly, that's a great topic for the ideas and feedback forum here that you should definitely post in there. And let's get a conversation going and try and figure it out. One thing that is important there is that we need to try and find a balance of something that's effective and proportionate. And yeah, that we can balance, the cost of it overall in many different ways to the to how effective it would be. My opinion is, in an ideal world, it's great to have somebody there that can kind of welcome you and keep an eye on things and make sure there's nothing crazy or offensive going on. I think one of the best things about Allspace back in the day was the new user space. Not the original new user space, right? But that initial welcome space where guests would kind of all pop into existence, and there was that little table where you would have somebody like Faye standing behind it, welcoming new people, getting them acclimated to their virtual bodies, like they had just been uploaded into the platform. Yeah. Dracula, to your point about instances and megaphoning, I think that's definitely something that we're going to have. As I said before, we're rebuilding the whole network stack, and all of that falls under that umbrella. But we are rebuilding the network stack to give us feature parity with what we have currently in Banter. And in Banter, we have automatic instancing, we have megaphoning, and being able to mirror yourself across spaces. We've kind of merged those two things into a single thing. So yeah, it'll be that same sort of thing really, is that you'll have that ability to do that. And then just making sure that all the bells and whistles, right, all the extra parts there that you need to have in place in order to synchronize that across all those different instances and keep all of that running smoothly and try and give you as moderators a nice view across all of those instances, right? Something that we implemented in Banter, which I think was a fantastic feature in Allspace as well, was, the ability to raise your hand and then the ability to, megaphone and mirror those who had raised their hand so they could be brought in and have a discussion. While we were building the system or before we had all these features, I would often have some of my team would jump between instances, try and find people that wanted to ask a question and megaphone them for me, bring them into into the fold for everybody. And yeah, it's really beneficial when you're running a large scale event, especially when you're upwards of kind of 50 or 80 people in the event, to be able to have those tools and be able to do it. Because yeah, Murphy's Law applies. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And when you're trying to coordinate something that's anything really that's real time, it's always great to have a really smooth uh, system that can make that as easy as possible for you. So yeah, we'll be taking the features that we've got um, and trying to polish them up, trying to make them as stable and as reliable as we can, so that when it matters, they work for you, right? And with everything that's inside of our power, we can do all we can to give you the power, right? To run events and to be able to host people and to grow your audience around that as well. Now, let me see. I tend to waffle a lot. But the chat is a bit weird for me. Yeah, I'm missing loads of the chat. Half of it's just disappeared. Hang on, let me just reopen it and see. Yeah. Is that the same for anyone else? Most of the chat just disappeared? Yeah, of course. I think. Okay, maybe I'll just rejoin. Hang on, I'll be back in a sec.
And up on that as well. Just hanging out. Get some things. Do one idea.
Okay, let's see if I got the chat back. Yeah, there we go. Discord messed up for a minute. Yeah, I see your thoughts there, Steve, on the raise hand system. I think that's really good to give people feedback so that they can, yeah, so you can know where you are and when you're gonna get spoken to. Um, I know Bob has been great at nudging people, reminding them to put these ideas into the ideas and feedback channel. The chat here for the stage is tricky. It can be difficult to search in some instances. And yeah, it's just harder to collate things together to review stuff later. So please dump your ideas into the ideas and feedback form as well. There is the link in the chat for anybody that's interested. Callie, I'm going to actually add it to the Q&A so people can know what the plan is with banter, but I'll quickly summarize what I said before. We're rebuilding and changing a lot for AltSpace, but we will eventually backport all those changes to banter too. They will coexist. We're actually building out an ecosystem of modular mix and match pieces that we can use to create the entire platform in essence. And we plan to run both together, coexisting, and they will be integrated, right? So eventually the idea is you'll be able to just move seamlessly between spaces on both platforms, regardless of which platform you're on. We may even do more than that in the future as well. The benefits there is that, we're building out that modular stack that lets us do that. And it's going to give us more ways to position the platform for different groups of users, and we can cater that onboarding experience for those different groups, and we can have more real estate on the stores as well, right? That's another benefit. And behind the scenes, we can cross-pollinate those as well, so people can start in one area and then expand to more areas as well. Yes, I take your note on the registration process. Uh, we have already a thread actually going on that specific topic in the ideas and feedback, so feel free to add any thoughts you've got there. It's called What Would Onboarding Look Like? I'll link it in the chat. And yeah, I think yeah, we definitely need to make sure and make the onboarding as smooth as possible, and make sure that people, yeah, that they have enough reason, incentive, and motivation to be able to sign up, right? And that when they do, that's easy. So I totally agree there. I think what we'll do is just go with a in-built sign up, maybe something that launches an external browser on Quest or on PC that just takes you through the sign up process quickly and then returns you back to sign you in after that, right? Standard stuff. What other people have suggested is we do Discord linking, we do platform accounts. Discord linking is great because it's a great way to to find your friends, right, on Discord and find those friends and maybe even synchronize those friends onto Allspace. Nice, great way to kind of pre-populate the friends list. Platform accounts are great as well. The only tricky part with those is that there's only one for each platform, right? So you've got a Meta account and you can get your friends there, or you've got a Steam account and you can get your friends there, but you can't use your Meta account on Steam, right? So if you go from one platform to the other. But what we could probably do is a similar thing, right? Like Discord, where you can just link your Meta account and link your Steam account to a central account, and then use that as a way to expand your social circle and invite more people. So I think all of the above is what we should aim for. And yeah, what we'll do, we'll likely lean on the infrastructure that we've got for the SideQuest user system, so that we've got it all in one place. And we'll just reskin that, and you'll have an Allspace sign up, but behind the scenes it'll be creating a SideQuest account. And the great benefit there is that we've already got the Discord linking set up there, so we'll have that out of the box. We'll get that for free, and I think that's going to be really good. But I think what we need to do, and this is something that we've definitely learned, is that we need to brand that experience, and we need to manage that expectation for new people. People need to see that they can sign in or sign up, but everything stays under the umbrella of Allspace. Everything looks like Allspace, and there's no confusion as to what it is that they're signing up for. And then, as an extension to that, we can just let them sign in using those existing accounts if they already have them, right? So sign in with SideQuest, sign in with Discord, sign in with whatever other single sign-on facility that we're doing, right? And none of this is rocket science, thankfully, although it has taken us a little bit of time to figure it out, and that's on us. But that kind of single sign-on stuff has been around for a long time, right? Being able to sign in to somewhere using your Facebook account, for instance, that's been there for quite a while. Yeah. Let's see. ISS, if you want to contact us, I mean, honestly, my door is open. Like I said at the start, I'm sort of trying to take a reset and trying to open up my outlook to everything here. So if people want to DM me, please go ahead. If it takes me some time to get back, that's just because right now my DMs are a little bit flooded, and yeah, generally I'm pretty busy, but I will endeavor to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So Discord is the best place to get me. Honestly, that's where I run everything. I run my entire company through Discord, so I'm always on Discord and connected to Discord on every device. But if you want to generally stay up to date outside of that, or if you want to share things, the website is always great, right? allcr.app. That's where things will evolve pretty quickly in terms of the roadmap, the launch timelines, new features and stuff. We'll probably publish them there alongside Discord, right? 'Cause I know not everybody is on Discord. So, okay, let's see. What else have we got? Uh, yes, loads of people have actually reached out to me and asked how they can help, which is really humbling, and I really appreciate that. And yeah, maybe that's something I need to put into the Q&A as well. Oh, I've already got it. Great, happy days. Here's one I made earlier. Um, and right now, the best thing you can do to help is spread the word, right? Um, and show your support just by, yeah, by jumping into any conversations you're seeing across social media and trying to correct any misconceptions, let people know what it is that we're doing. Um, yeah, um, jump into the early access channel and add your name to the list to get access before everyone else. Uh, I think that's really the main thing right now. Things will ramp up and change as we go. There's going to be tons of opportunities to get involved and help out. My team behind the scenes of veterans and expats, they're all volunteers. They're all helping to give their time and energy and effort to this because they are motivated to do so. Running events, creating worlds, creating avatars, that's actually a big one as well, right? Probably events and avatars are the two big ones, and worlds then as well, of course, coming in pretty close behind it. So once we're available for early access, or if you want to get a head start on that to start creating now, feel free to ping me or anyone else in the Builders channel, and we can let you know what setup you need, how things are evolving there. So yeah, I appreciate it. Anybody, Daisy, super, really appreciate you sharing it across your groups on Facebook and other places. Um, yeah, that's word of mouth, right, is the strongest form of communication, and I think with this brand and this concept, it's actually been so much easier because it's something that I think a lot of people have come in touch with over their lives, and everybody already knows the benefits. But yeah, you might see some people who don't know why everybody's buzzing over this, and who've never heard of Allspace or engaged with it. So I encourage you to share with them. Uh, you know, not in too much of a culty way or anything, but definitely to try and share with them, what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, the community vibe here, the chill vibe, and the reasons why we all know and love this platform, right? So that's definitely a huge area to be able to help right now. Um, so let's see. Okay, so oh, look at that. You see that, Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Hey, nah.
That's cool, right? I love that.
Oh my god.
I'm totally, yeah, I know. I totally see on that. That's already posted in the announcement channel. Um, okay, some other questions. What's their ideas of 18 plus content, sexy time and brackets? Okay, that's an interesting topic. Now we're getting into it. So I think I would take an approach like Allspace used to do, right? I think that's a nice rule of thumb. And yeah, this is still subject to debate. I'm going to talk to my internal circles and to the wider community about how this can be. But I think that um, I think that how Allspace used to approach this was that if you're doing stuff in your own private world, then that's fine. I think what we'll feature and what we'll present to users, especially to younger users, right? That's something that we need to address, of course. Yeah, whether it's something that we're going to promote and feature. Yeah, maybe not. But I guess it depends. Um, yeah, something else I think that's important to note here is that uh, worlds on other platforms, there's been a lot of controversy in recent years when certain worlds have kind of come under attack and certain worlds have been shut down, let's say, for different reasons, right? Popular worlds. We'll get into the specifics of what they are. But I definitely like to live in a world where the we're not the people who police everything. We don't control everything. So uh, while worlds will definitely be hosted on Altspace, that won't be the only place that they'll be hosted. People will be able to host worlds on their own servers or host them on other platforms for free, like GitHub or Bonto, to throw in uh, a little plug there. Um, so yeah, in essence, uh, in those cases, right, much like the internet is, it's kind of a democratized mashup of anybody can create something and share it. Um, that's what we'll do. Um, that's what we'll do is allow people to host their stuff wherever they want. And in those cases, they won't even have the ability to take stuff down in that sense. Um, I think, I mean, generally we're going to be promoting stuff and featuring stuff, and we'll have a certain responsibility potentially to curate that. And this is still up for discussion. And honestly, I've been doing some thought experiments with the community and banter on this for as of late, and toying with the idea of just opening everything up and showing everybody everything with no limits. Hey, Carlos, good to see you. Um, but I definitely think allowing people to do what they want is important, and we shouldn't be in a position to try and dictate that. And we'll generally take the position that you know Altspace is going to be a browser for the wider content in the Altiverse, let's say. And where that content is, what that content is something that's not really a browser's decision to make. So, yeah, we'll just be an access portal to the open wide web, right? And what goes on there, that's for you to decide whenever you decide if you want to go to a certain place or space, right? That's, that's how we're going to approach it, I think, generally. And I think it's a great approach because yeah, the ability to allow you guys to host stuff in other places that aren't our servers means that we don't, we can defer a lot of the problems that come with hosting those sorts of things, and we can allow them to be elsewhere, and we can reserve our judgment for the really extreme scenarios where we would need to weigh in, right? And yeah, otherwise we can have a position to be able to push back when it comes to other bodies or entities or payment processors trying to put pressure on us to try and limit access to stuff. So that'll be the approach we'll take to try and protect all of us and all of our interests and what it is that we want to do. But all of that being said, Upspace is going to be what it originally was in terms of how it gets outwardly presented. It's going to be presented as a safe platform, a platform that people can engage with in a lot of different contexts. It's going to be, it's going to be safe for brands. It's going to be safe for companies and businesses to interact with. It's going to be safe for younger people. It's going to be safe for adults. It's going to be it's definitely going to be positioned that way, right? So we're going to try and to not become associated too much with any one slant on anything like that, if you get me. So yeah, I hope that answers your question and maybe a few others. And I thank you to everybody who's out there and sharing stuff. Yeah, Cap, maybe really appreciate the effort that you're putting in these communities to host these conversations and share about what we're doing. So uh, uh, so let's see, mystery VRC. You're wondering if it's going to be a paid platform. Um, it won't. In a nutshell, no. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that for a while. Um, yeah, well, it'll be later whenever we, reach critical mass. Does that make sense to focus and invest a lot of time into the payment infrastructure, right? And that comes to that's two different areas. Whether it's some cosmetic subscription based thing like a Space Plus, or uh, or a monetization layer, an economy, right, for creators. Um, one thing I will say while we're on this topic, because I think it's quite important, um, usually when the platform creates an economy like this, uh, it can be quite draining because immediately when the platform creates it, the stores apply their store tax, which means 30% of everything that goes through the economy is immediately going to Steam or Meta. Um, so what I'd actually love to see that we're going to build this on open web technology, and there's already a huge amount of infrastructure out there to create paid services. And I know there's loads of creator economies that are community driven, community led. Those have the added benefit that extra 30% can stay in the creator's pocket rather than having to go to the platform. So if it's a question of whether we should create a creator economy that's really squeezed and has razor thin margins for everybody involved, probably I would prefer to just do a subscription model, and the creator economy could be built by multiple other people, right, within the community. That way we can avoid that, and ultimately it could be more sustainable, right? Because I think that's always a question, even on massive platforms like VRChat. It's a really tough thing to figure out all those specific things. Uh, um, Mystery, just to address your other two questions, how about avatars? So we're working on base avatars right now, fallback avatars. They're going to be robotic based to start with. We might expand on to other humanoid ones later. We will also have fully custom Unity based avatars on launch as well. So you can think of these like the fallback avatars. And your other question, will there be openings for mods? That's honestly a discussion that we're in the process of having, I guess, is whether we're going to have staff that will operate in spaces and do moderation, whether we'll have community mods that do it, whether we'll have some automated tools that can help make that process easier as well. So, yeah, like Bob has posted there a few times in the chat as well, we've got a forum here on Discord, the ideas and feedback. Please dump all of your thoughts, any ideas that you've got in there, and collectively, if it's not me, it can be the rest of the community, so that we can all come together and try and figure these things out, right, one by one. I think that's what we should, that's how we should approach this. Yeah, so, yeah, mascots. Why don't we talk about mascots? Christian's back. You can see the mascots there. You can see he's already added in a B-bot. I'm sure Andy has seen that and is excited by that, or she just heard me say it and is now looking at the stream. Yeah. Yeah, I think these mascots are pretty cool. The third one there from the left on the top, that was kind of the first one that we saw that Christian had put together. It was the first time that we kind of talked about this idea of mascots or pets. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. There's also that helicopter head, the original robot helicopter head avatar. I don't know if anybody has a picture of one of those and can put it into the chat.
About doing those studio versions of the original ones as well.
There you go.
simplified version of the old model, little guides and stuff. Really pretty cute. Some ideas. But we're hanging out doing this because I'm used to listening to music and stuff like that as I go. Just kind of just putting random stuff there, and maybe something comes out of it. Maybe nothing comes out of it.
No,
That one. Yeah, I'll do that one. Yeah.
I knew that was coming from Razor. I didn't even look at.
Yeah, okay. I'll do a fresh beat in a minute and do the last one.
Yeah, this is a good one for some community input here. Let's see, guys. Hit up the chat with your ideas. There we go. Ben's got the propeller head, right? Isn't that what we need to call it? Can I make rideable things? I think that's a good. I'd say Bob is already grabbing a link to videos that he's been sharing for go-karts and helicopters. It definitely falls under the bracket of rideable things. So yeah, I think we should do that, right? It was something that was pretty tough to achieve back in the old days. There we go. There's go-karts. Calls, that's a great question. So the base of our car controller is physics-based. So we'll do a physics-based attachment. It won't be parented, but it should be attached in a way that's smooth. Which is honestly great. Parenting works really well, but it has a bunch of nuances as well, like what happens if things change in the hierarchy in the parents, or the parent gets deleted, or some strange stuff happens. So yeah, using joints to link things together and making those really, really strong jointed connections is a nice way to do it. That way the parent can go away and your joint will just simply break it and continues on as normal, and you're not extrinsically linked. So it also gives us a nice opportunity to add some physical properties as well, which I think it's important to note. We're probably going to have things configured to be a little bit simpler on Altspace than we've had in the past, because we have a full, yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, you can have those kinds of limits where you can go flying out of the car when you crash into something, or something else can hit you. These were always really fun things to do. The physics was much more basic in Altspace back in the day, and what we're going to have is going to be much more advanced. And I think the default settings for it will be very basic to keep things simple. Yeah, I mean, there was basic physics, right? It was basic rigid body-based characters, and you could hit people and they could go flying. So that was the thing. But I think, yeah, what we'll do is keep things fairly basic in terms of the default configuration, because physics is a lot of fun. But it can be also quite difficult to get on board and acclimated into. So maybe you have extra options, right? We've got a whole host of settings that you can change related to the physics of your avatar. And maybe people can go crazy with that and add in all the options. So that, you can do physical-based things. Like, it's great to have a little go-kart and to have actual weight applied to your own avatar. So maybe bigger avatars affect the car different to smaller ones, that kind of thing, right? That certainly adds another layer of immersion to the whole thing. Unity 6, we'll likely try and get as close as we can to the latest LTS of Unity at launch, right? It's going to be harder to do upgrades of the engine after launch, so we'll try and get as close to the latest LTS at launch. And yeah, for anybody who's interested, URP If you know what that means, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that's the render pipeline we're going to use. That's an important distinction if you're going to create worlds in Unity. When I say that's the one we're going to use, do you need to caveat that slightly that that is the most likely option that we will use? We're just trying to hammer out all of the issues in the background, right? We're migrating a lot of the core engine configuration away from what we got with Banter to a whole new setup. Banter is built-in render pipeline with OpenGL. We're going to be using Vulkan with URP. That's what we're aiming for right now.
Oh shit!
Ghost Droid, yeah, you're on it. You're already doing it. One thing I will say to you, anybody who does have worlds with built-in render pipeline, I was over in the Basis community the other day, and they're actually making some great strides to create tools to convert things from built-in over to URP, right? Because all of the worlds on VRChat are built-in, and at some point they're going to have to bite the bullet and convert everything to URP themselves. We also have some of our own tools. We created something, and for instance, if you take the Crystal Lake and the complexity of materials and shaders in there, the tool that Aline has created was able to convert that without any issues in one go. So that's great. So if anybody is worried about that conversion process and having to go through stuff, we are going to have tools that will make that easier. So if you want to defer that decision for a little bit longer, please do. The tools that we'll be using will allow you to back up or to undo what you've done as well. So you'll be able to kind of go backwards. I've seen multiple people mention Gaussian Splash. Yes. In a nutshell, yes. Is I guess all I've got to say to that. I love the idea of Gaussian Splash. I completely get the benefits that they bring in. We do a lot of cool stuff internally with Gaussian Splash. We're building tools to create Gaussian Splash from real environments. And yeah, I'd definitely love to be able to render those as well. They can be quite costly on mobile chipsets, so that is an issue that we've always really had to tackle. But we actually have more options now. I mentioned before we're moving to Vulkan, which is a requirement for a lot of the mainstream Gaussian Splash libraries. But there's also some new stuff out there that doesn't require that necessarily. It has broader support. But I think we just want to try and find something that is as optimized as possible, and you can really put in really highly detailed Gaussian Splash and use level of detail and be able to, Are you going to have ways to record and stream within the world? Yes. Ideally, yes. Ideally, we have a nice advanced camera system which might have all of this built in. Might not be there on launch, but I'd love to prioritize being able to stream direct to like Twitch, for instance, straight from the platform. We do have some of the technology to be able to do this. For instance, Twitch has a WebRTC-based ingress for consuming streams. And a lot of the stuff we've built with the browser that allows you to stream, or a lot of the video casting and streaming stuff we've done in the past, all we use is WebRTC. So now, we've got solutions that can take a texture or a render texture in Unity, right, which is basically a camera viewfinder, right, and we can stream that natively over WebRTC. There is some intermediary glue we need to create there in order to bridge that to the WebRTC protocols that Twitch, for instance, is using. But there's a path there, and we spent a lot of time working with the technology that's required to make that good and fast and performant and super low latency if we can, right? As best we can, right? Within the limits of what Twitch or other platforms will allow. a fly pen for sure, definitely. Uh, we've already got something like that. In fact, um, the physics character gives us some extra advantages, and I don't know how much of it, like I said before, is going to be enabled by default. But being able to grab onto things and have those things pull you around in a way is definitely something that will work. So if you can join the dots of how the flight pen could work, right? Where you grab the pen and then the pen is flying and pulling you around. That's that's definitely something that we can do. Um, so yeah, and possibly even crazier than that. But let's not go too far down that road yet. We can send you off spinning out into space if we want, but we just need to be careful. Uh, yeah, yeah. I think we need to keep it simple for sure, right? And keep things basic and polish that onboarding experience and make sure we put in the hard yards and prioritize all of that first. We want to make sure that as many people who are going to come back to Allspace that they stay. Um, so let's make sure that initial experience just feels as smooth as possible and everything just flows. And yeah, then we can figure out how to open up all of the mad crazy stuff later. Uh, yeah, Daisy to that point, disabling a flight. I think generally, flight doesn't have to be something built into your menu or into your UI. It could be something built into the world, right? So it can be like a prop that's in the world. That way the world can decide not to include it as a prop. Uh, yeah. So yeah, finding that balance between world creators and what they can do versus what people can do is definitely something we'll have to explore along the way. And Carlos, to your point, we'll be paying for the service. Uh, you can also host your worlds on your own servers, but we'll be providing all of the hosting. We'll be paying for that by working with enterprise customers using a lot of the same technology to deploy training simulations and all sorts of things, right? So that's where we'll fund things. But yeah, we're also already pretty well funded, right? Um, yeah, uh, our largest investor is Google. Fun fact: uh, the last VR investment that Google Ventures made before SideQuest was Allspace. So we're in good company. Uh, And yeah, we're in a great position. We're in a great position to be able to really build it right and to do it right and to give it the best possible chance and to have everything that we need in place. Uh, so yeah, future plans for monetization and ticketing. Um, yeah, I definitely think that's something we want to do. To your point, Andy, um, I think it's about critical mass there, right? It's about the point when the user base is large enough that it makes sense to focus and divert resources onto the payment infrastructure. But because it's all built on web technologies and the open web, creators and community members will be able to create monetized experiences on day one. Um, and they'll be able to do that even better than we'll be able to do it because we as the platform, as I said before, we'll have to pay Meta and Steam 30% of everything that goes through it. But if you make it, then you can actually avoid that. And that's more money in the creator's pocket because we won't take a cut and the platforms won't take a cut. So that's definitely another option. We could certainly make some tools to make things easy, like maybe ticketing and redemption and access control. We can possibly make some tools there that make that process simple, and then you can sprinkle the little payment part on top, right? So, and the community can also make these kinds of things as well. So we won't be the gatekeepers. Try not making decisions to kill the platform by spreading too thin the way Rec Room did. Yeah, honestly, Rec Room is an enigma. I was so surprised this year to learn the news that they were shutting down, and it seemed like it was all over so quickly, and now it's just gone. And Rec Room was just in the same way as Alt Space was, right? It feels like something that they've all grown up with in a way. Uh, yeah, I mean Roblox maybe, honestly possibly Facebook, right? Or Meta. I think they really put a heavy slant towards Horizon Worlds over the last 2 years, and that might have really choked Rec Room out on their largest platform. Um, so they may have been looking at a situation where they've been in decline for a while, and that downward trend may have kind of pushed them into a position where they have to prioritize the runway that they had, right? But I mean, I don't know. At one point, Rec Room was going to launch on the Apple Vision Pro, and the early videos of that, and then out of nowhere, it didn't go anywhere. Um, yeah, so we have to be careful, right? We have to try and not spread ourselves too thin, and try and focus on the most important stuff, right? And that's why I think trying to monetize things at this early stage doesn't make a huge amount of sense because there's a lot of cost and in both money and time. Uh, yeah, um, yeah, it's difficult to do this, and we want to do it right. We want to make sure that um, we can stand the test of time, and that this is the last time, right? That nobody has to go through the platform shutting down again. Anyway, we're getting off topic here a little bit. Why don't we get back to the mascot? Uh, we've got bats. We've got bee bats, maybe? Is that what I could call that one? Is that just a ball with bat wings? Or is that a bat at a certain angle?
Look, something like that. I don't know. Unmuted. No, not muted. Something like that. I'm like, what does a bat look like again? It's the thing. Like, this is a body. What is a bat?
Yeah, well, I hope Razor is in there. We don't.
Thing. Yeah.
The astronaut.
You don't know.
Oh, right, the second one.
Hmm?
Somebody said astronaut, so I was trying to figure out which one was the astronaut, but I guess the second one on the top, it's kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of just because that looks like unintentionally looks like astrobot or whatever.
Yes.
I didn't mean to. I was just throwing ideas. Just cornered the market.
Let's see. We need about 17 users, folks, to hit 500. Why doesn't everybody on this chat go out and no, wait, don't go and start spamming. Yeah, I'm gonna save it back 10 5 on and check it out later. I haven't seen that one. Thanks for the link. Um, yeah, yeah. Let's see if we can get 17 people into the server before we're done on this and cross 500. What do you think about that? Yeah, 500 in a couple of days. That is really dope. Yes, it will be. It's crazy. It's reminiscent of a lot of the early days, right? I remember the Allspace Community Discord, right? Who remembers that? Leah? Is Leah in here? Somebody tell me Leah's in here. I need to ping Leah. I'll get her in here. Let's see. Here's something to be interesting. Who remembers Francois? Maybe you remember Francois? Francois used to run around speaking French to anyone who would listen. Oh God, such a staple. I feel like he was just always there. And ah, we had Francois Friday towards the end, where everybody would wear Francois avatars. Remember that? I'm sure there's a gift there. We actually did the same thing in Banter, although I don't think he ever came to see it. Let's see, where is it? Bob has got a good gift for it. I don't know if you want to post it in the chat, Bob.
You already answered.
You'll recognize it as soon as you
just want to eat.
as soon as you see it. You'll remember his avatar. You've never seen him before.
This is terrific.
See you later, C.I. Tiger. Carlos, what inspired me to bring back Allspace? Well, it's my origin story, right? The reason I'm here, it's the reason why I built SideQuest in a sense. So it seems like a natural progression to kind of do that full circle and come back to being able to create Allspace. So that's great. Exactly. Yeah. Gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling, you know, about being able to, about being able to kind of preserve what it was, so many of us, and maybe help to evolve it into what it could have been as well. So,
You said
will we be getting our outfits back? What outfits do you mean specifically? You know, we are. My face is coming back. Nice. I actually heard that too. Seems crazy. I feel like in some ways social media is kind of in decline. More and more countries are shutting youngsters off. Nobody can really compete with the short attention span that TikTok kind of demands now. Everybody's kind of suffering. So it's surprising to hear that my space is coming back, but fair play to them. Paying everyone, let them know.
A few minutes to pause and read comments and stuff like that, because we've been here a couple hours now. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. How much longer do you think you want to be here for today, Christian? Probably not much longer than another hour max, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Afterwards, I probably want to take a break, get some food, but yeah, they get people in Altspace, did they ever talk that much about any of the Altspace like D&D environments or anything like that, the Dungeons and Dragons within the world.
Yeah. I mean, there were specific spaces dedicated to that, I think.
The idea that we were having at the time that we were playing around with was
The tavern.
idea of having, well, it wasn't a tavern, so it was having the table and having a bunch of different environments and basically being able to have it so that you could set a ton of different environments and essentially, like, as a DM, you could build out different surfaces and stuff like that, so that way you could switch camera views between yourself as an actual player looking down on the table or down to the view of the like
Of the character.
table and stuff like that. So that way you could actually like see kind of how those things were going on. And the idea was to be able to take something that like held on to the idea of traditional tabletop games, but sort of in a way that leaned into something unique for for alt space and specifically for like worlds like that because you kind of have video game things and stuff like that, but you don't necessarily have something that preserves what makes a tabletop game good, but also that like takes it and enhances it and pushes it further, and that kind of can be extended into a lot of other games. So that was something that like I never really knew if that type of thing got put out there or not, but it was something that we were playing with a lot on the tail end. I wasn't sure how much it got built out or not. So curious. But,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of veterans in here that might remember. There was definitely a tavern space that had a D&D game in there. I don't know how much it went into that. Like you could, see from the perspective of the characters of the story of Dungeons and Dragons. But there was definitely a game, and I think a lot of things like tabletop really in general was a great little, social lubricator, let's say, in a sense, right? Holograms Against Humanity, right? Everybody here remembers that. There was generations of that game in all space. It existed across other platforms as well. And there's a bunch of other games, card games, different games that were built off the back of that. I think it's a great use, really, is that it's not too imposing. You can still just have a casual experience where people can just hang out and be social, but also it's gamified, right? It's something that you can do together. So the tabletop setup works really, really well in a social setting, I think.
Yeah, maybe some old sketches and stuff like that, things like that from the original, like world old robots and things like that, potential space language features and the things that we're playing around with at the time, humanoid.
Did you and please feel free to stop me here because I know there's certain things you maybe can't show. But did you dig anything out from the old days that you might have come across that never ended up in the public eye? Something related to this stuff.
I would have to open up my like old computer and check, or like with my hard drive. But let me take a look at my hard drive this week. I'm sure there's a bunch of rejected stuff from back then. The things that never made the public eye either because they just didn't do the they didn't fit in, or I was like, no, terrible, terrible. I'll never would have done it. I think like some environment ideas, and the idea was like you'd have the tavern in there, but you'd be able to actually like switch the table modes. You'd be able to sort of see you'd be able to see it sort of within the environment and thing like that and stuff like that. So we were playing with a lot of these like little mini games and stuff like that at the time. It was pretty cute.
I know some people.
I'll take a look around and see. I'll take a look around and see if there's anything like that laying around. I'm sure I do. It's just I'm pulling up work from 10 years ago. I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yes, well, I know that there are hundreds of people in here who would love to see that. And I think with things like
Sure.
that, right, time always makes them age really, really well. So even if they were rejected and not good back then, I'm sure people would just love to see any kind of scribbles or anything at all. And I think that when you were showing that, that D&D view that you've got there, because it immediately made me think of Ben's Toy House, right? Ben is here in the chat actually listening. He basically built that same kind of system where you had the enormous giant versions and then you had this tiny little tabletop house setting and you were able to zoom down onto it. So you'd have a bunch of players that were tiny on the table and then a bunch of massive players around them and they could literally pick them up with their hands. I'm sure a bunch of people have remembered that at some point. But yeah. If you do, if you can manage to dig that stuff out, I'm sure people here would love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going back up in the chat also now and looking at some previous comments. One of the things that I run into is if I'm guessing for like 15 minutes until I look back at it, it's the unread messages. Oh my gosh. A lot of them are great ideas. Cats, bebops, birds, owls, lizards, butterflies, or particle sparkles.
Particle sparkles. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, ideas.
Hey Patrick, welcome to the stream and so Becky just joined. Oh, Patrick's gone. There you go. There it is in the chat. There's a photograph, right? Mm-hmm. You see somebody with a small avatar in their hand and the huge big avatar behind.
You take medicine.
Flower crowns. Flower crowns and particle sparkles.
Flower crowns kind of catch a bunch of the ideas that come out of the stat suggestions, stuff like that for that channel, and then we can kind of like summarize the things.
Yeah, I need to figure out a convenient way. I'll probably get a bot set up or something that can try to extract.
Take the passwords to master small players and go within tunnels and under things. Yeah. Environment designers build lots of hidden stuff. That's awesome. I want to go in. If I make my character tiny, I want to go into the wall. I want the mouse experience.
It's funny you say that. There was literally a little mouse. A part of Ben's Toy House. Everybody's putting the pictures of it in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, any ideas, guys? I know you wanna keep them in there. Feel free. I'm probably going to go through everything that we've got here and see if I can collate together everything that's in the chat. Right, I'll just see if I can export all of these comments and try and organize everything and see if I can distill that into the most valuable feedback. I'll probably do the exact same thing with the ideas and feedback channel. I'll put together a Discord bot that can help me export all of that. Capture everything that you're saying. So I know we've been saying constantly, dump it into the ideas and feedback, but let's be honest. I'm just going to try and grab it from everywhere, right? Because there's just so much extra data here that it's worth keeping a hold of. But so dump it anywhere, right? Dump it into this chat, into the ideas and feedback, and we'll get it. Now, we had a bunch of people joining off the back of some of your posts. Have we crossed 500 yet? Let's see. 150 online, 340 offline. Right, so we're 10 away. 10 more people, folks, are going to cross 500. Somebody make 10 fake accounts. So 30 minutes. We get 10 people in here in the next 30 minutes, then we've really achieved something. If we get 10 more people in here in the next 30 minutes, then Faye has told me that she'll come onto the stage and swear for 45 minutes straight. Right, Faye? Everybody knows. Everybody knows the kind of standard that Faye has been. Oh no. No, we won't do that, Faye. We won't make you do that, I promise. He is too nice for that.
Wow. My sticker collection. I collect stickers the way that people like hold on to potions in RPGs. Like, oh, I'm not going to use this. What if I need it later? What if I need it later? And it's just put it away.
Yeah, I think everybody in here would love to see that. So,
Little things and like, where are they? I'm like, oh no, you're around. You're around. That's the funny thing about finding things that you haven't looked for in a little while. Yeah,
so yeah, we're close to wrap up, guys. Around 5 minutes.
And I'll keep taking the ideas, things like that have come out of this, and I'll keep working on them. Make additional Twitter, make additional scenes. I'll go back through the chat, take a look at some of the requests that came through. Hard for me to, hold it all in my mind, but there's a lot of great ideas for mascots, avatar kits, all that kind of stuff like that. So none of that stuff is lost. You threw it in the chat. We'll read it, draw it, fill it out, put it on there.
I have just made a big collection of all of them, which I've linked you to. So if you want to grab that might make it easier to digest.
I will.
You'll be able to just download that file, open it up in your browser, and it should give you a full rundown of everything. Yeah, well, look, guys, with a couple minutes left, please put your hands together and show your appreciation for Christian, who's come to do this for us today. It was a great idea. Delighted to be able to do it. Love the response. I love all the feedback and chatter that we've had. It's been great to be able to talk to you guys and communicate what we're trying to build, and and kind of get everybody into the fold and everybody on the same page as to what we're doing. So yeah, I think give me some time in the next few days, and I'll see if I can pull together a schedule of things that we could do and see what kind of format we're going to do it in. And yeah, when we'll do it, right? And yeah, I'll propose some ideas in the server, and we can all give our thoughts. And yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, anybody who can maybe help us achieve that, if we're going to stream it, if we're going to record it, if we're going to do it as a podcast, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, let's figure out how to do this, right? Let's come together as a community and help try and proliferate the ideas and the vibe that we're really trying to achieve here. And yeah, we'll just do that regularly, right? We can maybe aim to do that once a week for the next couple of months, and then maybe we once we're ready and the platform is ready to go, we can migrate it into VR as well and get back to that kind of format too. So, but yeah, let's do it all. Let's do it on all platforms. Let's spread it far and wide. Try and get as many eyes onto it as possible. And thank all of you so much for your time, for coming and hanging out with us, for posting and.
Is it?